Hello, this homily is for the 21st Sunday in Ordinary Time. Our readings are from Isaiah chapter 22, verses 19 through 23. Our psalm is Psalm 138. Our second reading is Romans chapter 11, verses 33 to 36. And our gospel is Matthew chapter 16, verses 13 to 20. Who do people say that I am? Jesus asks his disciples this question, a question that is very normal and human, a very normal and human thing to ask. What are they saying about me? And we all care about this question, even those of us who are too cool to care about what others think, care a little bit. And even those of us who are too important to worry about what people think, care a little bit. We all care, to some extent, what people are saying about us. I mean, that's what social media is all about, right? It's not just so that we can see what kind of sandwich Aunt Sally ate on Tuesday, or so that we can get health updates on Vernon's Labradoodle. We're on social media a little bit to see what people are saying about us. And we post pictures, clever witticisms, or whatever. And we want to know, what are people saying about me? Did they like it? Was it funny? How many views did I get? Who do people say that I am? And we spend a great deal of time in our lives trying to craft this image of ourselves for the world to see, this me, that I want people to say that I am. And sometimes it's a good thing that we're doing this, because it makes us behave when we're in public, like when we're in the car line at school dropping our kids off. And even though we're behind a person who has no concept of how to operate the car line, they have no concept of getting the kid in and out of the car in a timely fashion. And you're sitting there watching them, stuck, as the kid fights with the seatbelt. And if you can see he's fighting with the seatbelt, his dad should be able to see it too and help him out. But he doesn't. And so you're sitting there stuck and you're watching the time tick by and you're going to be late to work. And your boss is already mad at you and he doesn't like tardiness. And you're stuck behind this guy who won't just get the kid out of the car. But we don't honk the horn. We don't yell, we don't swerve up beside them, give them the finger. We don't do any of those things because we don't want that to be who people say that we are. Good manners are sort of based on this idea of public perception sometimes. The way that we act shows people who we are, even if it's acting. Who do people say that I am? And for Jesus, the apostles had some great answers. People were saying he was Elijah, John the Baptist, Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. And that's some pretty great company to be compared to. Holy men of God, messengers from God for the people. Some of the greatest patriarchs in the Bible. I mean, they really just need to throw in Abraham and Moses, and they'd have the superfecta of Old Testament heroes. Some really good company. And then Jesus asked the disciples, but who do you say that I am? The disciples, his closest friends, his companions, his family, his inner circle. Because friends and family sometimes know a different us. Friends and family will sometimes answer differently as to who we are. And Jesus' inner circle was no different. They knew who Jesus really was. They knew his true nature. Peter answers, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." He knew who Jesus really was. And the difference between Jesus and the majority of us, as it relates to this question, is that who Jesus really was even better than what the public perception was. I mean, many times for me, it's just the opposite. I think for a lot of us, our true nature is not as good as the public me that we show the world. For me, the true me is almost always worse. And since we're stupid humans, our true self, the me that only my close friends know, our true self will eventually work its way out for public consumption. I mean, with the increases in technology, the advent of the social media age, it becomes harder and harder to keep our true self hidden. And I'm just lucky that they didn't have Facebook 20 years ago, because the stuff that we find ourselves offended by today pales in comparison to what I was saying back then. My true self back then would have been on full display if they'd had Facebook. The public me that I've carefully crafted in construction would get exposed when people came across my rantings on Facebook, or that sexist joke I tweeted, or that racist comment I made, or that anti-Muslim slur I posted, or the intolerant view that I emailed. And I don't think that I'm alone here. I think that what separates our true self from our public image is the anger, the frustration, the annoyance, the disgust even, that we hold for the other. We hold these things in our heart, our prejudices against others, all types of prejudices against all types of others. And despite our public me, our inner circle knows that he makes racist jokes, or sexist jokes, or doesn't trust Muslims, or belittles homeless people, or doesn't like immigrants, or whatever it is. The prejudices that our true self conceals from public view. The ways we make our public image better than our true self. So what's the solution? How can we make our true self better than our public image, the way Jesus was? Well, it's not going around by telling everybody how great our true self is. Jesus forbid the disciples from telling anyone he was the Christ in our gospel today. So is the solution to just make our public image as bad as our true self. Just go all in on the alt-right or the alt-left if latent racism is our problem, for example. Build a wall instead of a bridge. Do I make the public me match all the prejudice and hate and intolerance that I secretly harbor in my heart? How do we make our true selves match the good image that we put out there? I don't think the answer is altering the public image so that it matches as much. I don't think that the answer is altering the public image so much as it is changing our true self. Being honest with ourselves about the areas we need to work on. Honest about how we really feel. And honest about how to really change our hearts. And it starts with prayer. Always starts with prayer. Asking God to give us a heart like His so that we can love like He loves. Because if we truly love our neighbor, all our neighbors, no matter who they are, with no conditions or caveats, if we truly love the way Jesus does, our true self will begin to look Christ-like. When we let go of our preconceived notions about how other folks are living, our true selves will begin to look Christ-like. When we let go of our preconceived notions about the other, then we can begin to love them like Christ. We can begin to know them for who they truly are. We can begin to heal. We can begin to unlearn fear and hate. This all sounds good and simple. Pray, and it will be all better. But what can we actually do? Well, one thing that we can actually do is make a friend. I mean, if you think old people are rude and crotchety, then befriend an elderly person. If you think young people are narcissistic and shallow, befriend a young person. If you think women are overbearing and snippy, angry with men for being men, then befriend a woman. If you think men are chauvinist pigs with only one thing on their mind, then befriend a man. If you think people from Central and South America are Mexicans who are here illegally to steal our jobs and get on welfare, then befriend a Latin American. If you think Jews are tight with money and hell-bent on the Zionist takeover of American culture, befriend a Jew. If you think Muslims are militant extremists who are wearing a suicide vest and would cut our Christian heads off if given the chance, then befriend a Muslim. If you think rich people are stuck up and greedy, elitist one-percenters, then befriend a rich person. If you think poor people are lazy and content to live on the dole, having babies in order to collect more welfare, then befriend a poor person. If you think straight people are judgmental hypocrites who fear what they don't understand, befriend a straight person. If you think LGBTQ persons are promiscuous non-Christians, hell-bent on destroying the church and the American family, then befriend a gay person. If you think black lives are shiftless and lazy, drug-dealing pimps who only think about raping white women all day long, befriend a black life. If you think white people are small-minded bigots, hate-filled rednecks that can't dance, then befriend a white person. If you think the other, whoever the other is not made in the image of God, not cherished by God, not sought after by God, not loved by God, then befriend that person. Because what you'll find is that person is God's child, and that God loves them, and that Jesus died for them, whether they know it or not. And you'll find that their true self and your true self can both be Christ-like. You'll find that the answers to the two questions, who do people say I am, and who do you say I am, will begin to match. Our public image and our true self will both be images of Jesus, His kindness, His mercy, His grace, His compassion, His love. Let Christ change our hearts. Let Him make them more like His.